Hello everyone, welcome back to Aseens. So, in today's video, we will be discussing the part 2 of crop production and management. So, let's get started. Okay, so previously in the part 1 video, we have covered the topics such as preparation of soil, agricultural implements, etc. etc. As well, even sowing we have completed. So in this particular video, we will be talking about adding manure and fertilizer and irrigation. So two topics are to be covered in this particular video. Let's start with adding manure and fertilizer. So, before talking about adding them, let's understand what is manure and fertilizer. So, if I have to understand the definition goes something like this. The substances which are added to the soil in the form of nutrients for healthy growth of plants are called manure and fertilizer. So basically manure and fertilizer are something which you add to make the soil to increase the fertility of the soil or to increase the nutrients of the soil, so that whatever plants we grow in that particular soil, they grow healthier and better. Okay, so now let's understand why do we add them. Since we have come to know what manure and fertilizer is and we have an idea why do we add them, let's just have it point wise. Farmers grow crop after crop in the same field. The field is never left uncultivated. So what do we mean by this? Farmers' occupation is growing crops, and crops is not something which is grown in a day or two. It takes months together for the crops to completely grow and be ready for harvesting. Once the harvest is ready, the farmer sells their harvest and get money out of it. So whatever financial needs the farmer has, it is completed by selling their produce. So how can the farmer leave the land uncultivated? It's not at all possible, because that would mean for months together the farmer has to not grow anything, and during this period the farmer does not have any hope of financial aid. So that is the one reason why we need to add manure and fertilizer to make the soil or to increase the fertility of the soil, to increase the necessary nutrients of the soil. Next point, continuous cultivation of crops make the soil poor in nutrients. Since we are continuously growing the crops one after the other, the soil does not get time or does not get the necessary nutrients required. To replenish the soil on its own or to increase the nutrients of the soil on its own, we need to leave the land uncultivated for at least a year, which is not possible in this case since we need to cultivate it continuously. So here what happens is the quality of the soil gets poorer and poorer. To overcome this, farmer add manure to the field to replenish the soil. This process is called manuring. So in order, as I said, in order to increase the fertility of the soil without giving a time period to leave the land uncultivated, what the farmer do is he adds manure and fertilizers. Okay, both are two different things, manure and fertilizer. What and how we are going to discuss in our furthermore as we go in deep in the video. Okay, so the farmer will be adding both of this in order to increase the fertility of the soil, so that whatever crops he is growing, they grow healthier and better without any hindrance due to absence of nutrients in the soil. Now, let's understand what is manure, and then furthermore we'll go to the fertilizer. So, manure is something which is completely organic. It's an organic substance obtained from the decomposition of plant and animal waste. So, when the word organic comes, you need to remember that here it is prepared or it is made without any interference of chemicals. It's completely natural, it's completely organic. To make manure, animal and plant waste is decomposed. So it could be the entire animal as well as the plant. Okay, whatever discarded plant and plant waste we have or animal waste we have, everything can be put together and it is allowed to decompose over the period of time. Once it's completely decomposed, the whatever product is left behind, the decomposed matter, it's nothing but the manure for our growing plants. Farmers dump plant and animal waste in pits at open places and allow it to decompose. So what basically farmer does is he collects the plant and animal waste and he dumps them in large pits. These are present in open places, okay, and furthermore he leaves them just in the same manner without touching them, allowing it to decompose. So no disturbance is done in between, it's just left it aside. So once it is completely decomposed, the decomposed matter is used as organic manure. So furthermore, this organic manure is added to the soil, to the crops, to make it better. Now let's talk about the advantages of manure. Okay, so manure has got lots of advantages. We are going to see them one by one. The first one, it enhances the water holding capacity of the soil. Yes, so it makes the soil able to hold more and more water. So capacity of water holding of the soil increases when you add manure to the soil. Next, makes the soil porous, due to which exchange of gases becomes easy. So soil will be able to breathe, soil will have enough pores, soil will be porous. That means it won't be very tightly or clay type. It will be able to allow the air to pass through it. So exchange of gases will be easier in the soil. Next, increases the number of friendly microbes. This is very much important, since whatever manure, whatever fertilizer you are adding, other than that, apart from that, even the dead and decaying matter, the fallen leaves of the crops, it could be any of the tiny little insects or anything which falls prey there, which might die and fall into the soil, and this has to be further decomposed. As it is decomposing, your soil will get better and better, in terms of nutrients, in terms of fertility. So to increase that, or for that to happen, it's only possible when you have got those friendly microbes which help in decomposition and increasing the fertility of the soil. So once you are adding manure, what happens is this friendly microbes will increase in their number. So it is going to help the farmers. Further, it improves the texture of the soil. The soil's texture will be improved. What is this texture now? The soil, if it's kind of runny, then it's like sand. Okay, how sand grains fall off from your hand when you hold it in your fist, how easily it falls off. So it's not fertile. Okay, if it's clay, yes, obviously it will be rich in nutrients, but we don't want it to be much more clay. If it's much more clay, the soil will not be porous. So if it is not porous, then obviously it won't be able to breathe, it won't allow the roots to grow through them easily. We want something in between. We want it to be highly nutritious as your clay soil, and we want it to be easily broken down, that is easily plowed as well. Okay, so this texture can be maintained by adding manure. So that was about manure. Now let's talk about fertilizers. What are these fertilizers? What is the difference between manure and fertilizer? So fertilizers are chemicals. They are rich in a particular nutrient. Okay, so fertilizers, obviously they are not natural, they are completely man-made, they are chemicals, and here they are designed in such a way that they will be rich in particular nutrient or nutrients. They are produced in factories. As you have seen before, manure were manufactured in pits. Here they are manufactured in factories. So the examples for fertilizers are urea, ammonium sulfate, superphosphate, potash, NPK. NPK stands for nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Okay, K is the symbol for potassium, so they have used K over here. Okay, so the next question, as we have spoken before, manure was completely organic, completely natural, whereas fertilizers are chemicals. Now the very big question, are fertilizers harmful? Yeah, are they? Okay, so let's find out. Use of fertilizers has helped farmers to get better yield, but excessive use of fertilizer has made the soil less fertile. Yes, so fertilizers, though very helpful, it has helped farmers in more than one way. Okay, it has helped the farmers to get better yield. So if they used to test the soil, okay, on testing, if they find a lack of a particular nutrient, they could just add that particular nutrient and make the soil fertile. But when you're using this fertilizers excessively or more than necessary, it makes your soil less fertile. Okay, so this is not a good thing. Next, fertilizers have also become a source of water pollution. Okay, now the big question, how can fertilizer be a source of water pollution? Since we are adding this fertilizer in agricultural land, how come this fertilizer go and add in the water bodies and cause water pollution? The thing is, we will be understanding that in case of irrigation, when you add, what happens is this excess water, whatever we have in agricultural fields, through canals, this excess water reach the water bodies, the nearby rivers, the nearby lakes, the nearby ponds. So when this water gets mixed with the agricultural soil, what happens is most of the fertilizers get dissolved in this water. And as this excess water is running down to, going back down to the main water body, okay, it could be the pond, lake or river, whichever water body was used or whichever water body it is directed to, this dissolved fertilizers will move along with it to the water bodies. So this is how water pollution will be caused. Okay, so now moving on to the next part, replenishing soil without fertilizers. Since we have established that though fertilizers are good, but excessive usage of it, it could turn the tables over, it could make it harmful. So now let us see whether we could replenish our soil without fertilizers at all. So to avoid harmful effects of the fertilizer, the soil can be increased in fertility by using organic manure. So as we have seen already, manure will increase the fertility of the soil. So instead of using fertilizer, we could just switch to manure and increase the fertility. Leaving the field uncultivated, fallow in between crops. Okay, so as even this point I have mentioned before, if you leave the land uncultivated for some period of time, okay, months together or a year, okay, or more than a year, so what happens is once you leave it uncultivated, the soil is not put to use. Since it is not put to use, with time it will replenish its nutrients by surrounding matter, dead and decaying matter, through air, whatever comes, joins it, okay, through water. So this way the nutrients in the soil will be once again replenished when you keep the land uncultivated. The other word for it is fallow. Okay, so then now the next one, crop rotation. Okay, so what is this crop rotation now? Crop rotation is growing different crops in the same field alternately. For example, a farmer grows paddy for this particular season. Okay, so once the paddy is harvested, the farmer might switch to some other crops, okay, for the growth. The crops, so now how do he select the other type of crops here? He has to select crops which does not take the same nutrients from the soil as the paddy. Okay, so it could be vegetables, it could be any spices. Okay, so each crop requires different nutrients from the soil. They don't take the similar nutrients from the soil. Depending upon the product or the yield it is giving and what it is rich in, the nutrients required by the crops differ. So we are trying to grow crops alternately which requires different nutrients. So that is basically, it will help in replenishing some of the nutrients and some of the nutrients being put to use. So that is the plan over here in case of crop rotation. Now let's talk about difference between fertilizer and manure. This is very much important. Okay, so since we have already established what fertilizers are and what manure is, now let's just understand the differences between the two point wise. So fertilizers, as discussed, they are man-made, they are completely artificial, whereas manure is natural. Since they are man-made, fertilizers are prepared in factories, whereas manures, they are prepared in fields in large pits. Fertilizers do not provide humus. Humus is the organic matter, organic necessary manure, which is the main organic matter which the plant requires. So it's absent in case of fertilizer, whereas manure is rich in humus. They provide large amount of humus to the soil. Fertilizers are rich in plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, etc., etc. Okay, they can be manufactured in such a way that they are rich in only one particular nutrient or selective nutrients. Whereas in case of manure, they are less rich in plant nutrients. Plant nutrients are not so strongly present in manure. They are mainly rich in organic matter. So nutrients is not something which the soil can get in large amount through the manure. Okay, that was about adding manure and fertilizer. Now we'll be switching to the next topic, that is irrigation. So let us understand what is irrigation first. Since we are growing crops and crops are nothing but plants, so we know that plants need water. The supply of water to crops at regular intervals is called irrigation. Since crops are not large trees, they are, compared to trees, they are very much smaller, and hence they require water at regular intervals. Okay, and the amount of water which they require, since it's large field, so you need to apply or you need to supply water to each and every crop standing in the field. So it takes a large amount of manpower or electric power, whatever you are using, whichever method you are using. So this supply of water to the crops is nothing but irrigation. Time and frequency of irrigation varies from crop to crop, soil to soil, and season to season. Now, how much water to give, at what time to give, or what is the period of gap we need to keep between the irrigation timings, the irrigation schedule. So it differs with the type of crop you are using. Some crops require more water, some crops require less water, some crop require less water but frequently, that is multiple times a day. So depending upon the crop it will change. Moreover, the type of soil which you are using, there are some soils which have got good water retention capacity, they can hold more water, whereas there are some of the crops which are not able to hold, some of the soil whose capacity of water holding is less. So depending upon the type of soil you are using, it will also change the irrigation pattern. Next is season to season. The type of season, it could be monsoon. If it's monsoon, then obviously plenty of water will be present and you need not supply water through irrigation. If it is summer and winter, obviously you need to supply water through irrigation depending upon the crop type and the soil type. Now, what are the sources of irrigation? From where do you collect the water for this irrigation? It could be wells, it could be tube wells, it could be ponds, it could be lakes, it could be rivers, dams and canals. Okay, so basically anything which has got enough water available in it, you can use it for irrigation. So now, traditional methods of irrigation. So irrigation at present, whatever methods they are using, they are much more modernized. Since India is very much primitive in case of agriculture, so we have got some of the traditional practices still being followed. So let us understand those traditional methods of irrigation. So water, for traditional methods, we use water available in wells, lake and canals. Okay, so this is lifted by different methods. The water from so many sources, they are collected or they are lifted by different methods. So to lift this water from the sources, that is wells, lakes and canals, cattle or human labor is employed. So under cattle, it could be an ox, it could be a buffalo, okay, or the human itself. So you need energy to lift water from the sources. So to lift water from that, the whatever energy is required, it is supplied by a cattle or human. Okay, so now let's see what are those traditional ways. The first one is moat or pulley system. Next comes chain pump, dekli, and lastly rahat. Okay, so this is the picture for moat. So what is this moat now? Moat is nothing but here completely man labor is employed. Okay, so the person, either by using his energy, the farmer, or by using the cattle, he is going to draw water from the wells or other sources, and he is going to manually supply this water to each and every crop. So each and every crop, personally he will be dropping the water or required water, he will be supplying it completely by man labor. Next comes chain pump. Chain pump is basically a large wheel to which buckets are connected to draw water from the source. Furthermore, the water which is drawn inside this bucket, it is dropped into a large stack like structure through which the water will run to the canals through which each and every crop is connected in the agricultural land. You can understand it better, the working of this chain pulley, in the next, the continuation of this video. What I am going to attach now is a GIF, so you can understand it better. Next in the list is dekli. So dekli is nothing but which is very much similar to moat, but here they are going to use ropes and pulleys, and they are going to employ animal labor also, that is ox or buffalo. Okay, they're going to draw water from the wells and they are going to just flow it on one side, and basically the water is going to pass through the canals and reach the crops. So it's observed that there is a lot of wastage of water when you're using this particular irrigation method, that is dekli, compared to the others. Now next one, the last one here, that is rahat. So rahat is once again very much similar to the chain pulley, just that to make the wheel rotate, here they are going to use animal. So you can see the ox or the buffalo who is rotating the rod, right? Okay, as it is rotating, the wheel will rotate and it will collect the water and it will pass the water to the canal through which the agricultural crops are connected. Okay, so you will be able to understand this method better by using the GIF which is connected over here. So that was about traditional irrigation practices. Now we are going to talk about modern methods of irrigation. Okay, so we have got to learn two over here. So we're going to start that. The first one here is sprinkler system. So sprinkler system, what is this sprinkler system now? It's a system with perpendicular pipes. Okay, perpendicular pipes in a sense, these pipes are at 90 degrees to one another, having rotating nozzles on top, are joined to the main pipeline at regular intervals. Okay, so definition looks slightly confusing, but I guess you'll be understanding it better seeing the picture of sprinkler system. So this is what a sprinkler system looks like. Okay, it's an entire system where you have got sprinklers attached. The sprinklers will do the job of irrigation. When water flows through the main pipe, it escapes from the rotating nozzle, sprinkling on the crops as if it is raining. So this is how the sprinkler works. It's sprinkling water throughout the field or throughout the land wherever you are. You have connected the sprinklers. So it feels as if it's raining all around. Okay. This method is useful for lawns, coffee plantation, etc. Yes. So you have got a little garden with grass and quite ornamental plants which are actually not so strong to take more water. So here sprinkler method will prove the most helpful. Okay, it will keep the soil wet, it will provide the necessary irrigation required, and it will also not harm the plants. Okay, so this is basically helpful for coffee plantations and lawns, the ones which require only the wetness of the topmost or moisture in the topmost soil. So this is what sprinkler system looks like. Okay, you can understand the GIF here. Once again, I'm connecting a GIF for sprinkler method that will help you to understand it better. Now, next is drip system. Dripping. Drip system is nothing but dripping water. Okay, so in this system, water falls drop by drop directly near the roots. So wherever your roots are, you are connecting this drip system such that the drops are falling directly where the roots are. Okay, you are not wasting any drop of water here. Every drop counts. So this is basically the agenda behind drip system. The best technique for watering fruit plants, gardens and trees. Okay, so since this kind of plants require more water, and most of the time most of the water is being wasted, so drip system proves the best method for such kind of plants. Wastage of water is nil. As I said, no wastage of water will be happening in drip system, hence a boon in water scarce area. So specifically, if at all you are living in an area where water is less or you don't have enough water for your day-to-day life, in that case we don't prefer watering the plants as a necessary thing when we ourselves have got less amount of water to use. So here drip system comes as a boon. So this way you'll be giving the necessary water to the plants without wasting any drop of water. So this is what drip system looks like. Okay, in actual field, this is how it looks. To understand this drip system better, I have connected a GIF so that you can understand how this drop by drop water facility is supplied to the plants. So now that was about today's video. We have completed both the topics successfully. In case of doubts, just leave me a comment at the bottom, and as usual, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching.